It's so crazy how you have mentioned a few times that a door just appeared and you walked through it in some ways. Do you attribute that to luck or timing?
It's my path, 100%.
Yeah.
There's no other explanation. For me, my career, looking at it, and the people that I have the pleasure to work with, everything, that is not by luck. It was my path. It's exactly, seemed to always be exactly where I need to be. And no matter what happens, good or bad, that is still exactly where I need to be. Because sometimes it's not about you.
He started his career off as a sound engineer when he was just 15 years old. He's collaborated with some of the best A-list talent, and he's one of the head sound engineers at Nickelodeon Animation. Please welcome Ryan Greene to Alicyn's Wonderland. Hey, Ryan.
Nice to be here.
What's going on?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. And we're not working, we're just hanging.
I like this. You look so different from the rectangle on Zoom.
Yeah, I know, because we had worked together a couple times on It's Pony, I think, for Nickelodeon.
Yes, we did.
And we worked together on a little project my son was working on. And we came in and it was like, oh, it was cool to kind of just be back for a little bit.
Just for a moment.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
Has COVID really affected the way that you do your work?
COVID has affected us quite a bit. I mean, the whole having talent record from home, having to set up their systems, soundproof their rooms. We have people that record from bathrooms and
literally?
Literally.
Oh, that's sort of the worst sound, isn't it?
They actually have. It's a crazy bathroom. If anybody wants to go record at their place, it actually sounds really good.
Wow.
But, all the different environments that we've had to work with, and talent being so wonderful to allow us into their homes via Zoom and go through and say, could you put a pillow here and you can hang a blanket there, and working through, of course, all the technical issues that we go through. And we were doing this, Manny Grahava and I were asked to...
Manny, he's on Rugrats.
Love
Manny.
And we were asked to figure out how to do this. And we had to do it very quickly because of the shutdown.
Yeah.
And Manny and I worked together and put the whole format together and the protocol and what we needed to do, what was important, what wasn't important, and then started to go through the process. And
wow.
It has been a wild ride, but it is now the new way to do things, because there are people that will probably never come back because they love their home systems, and there's some people that will.
It's so interesting. Now, when did you first start at Nickelodeon?
I started at the end of 2017.
Okay. So about 5 years or so, coming up on 5?
Yes.
And you have an illustrious career prior to that as a sound engineer, recording engineer, and producer on the music scene. So you kind of have split personalities.
I do. It's been a wild ride. Sometimes looking back on it, I don't even know how it even happened. I think it was just you see a door opens and you just walk through it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's all it's been my whole career. It's like something would come up and I'd be naive enough to go, oh yeah, I could do this. Oh yeah, sure, I'll do this.
Sounds like your first opportunities came at a really young age too.
Very, very young.
So how did that all come about?
So it basically started with my brother. My brother was going to recording school when I was still in high school. And he would bring his notes home from his recording school, and I would study those and not do my homework. And then my brother started to help me with my homework. And I just found, I was a drummer. I really felt very connected to the studio. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And out of high school, I ended up getting a job at the Troubadour.
Wow.
And they hired me underage. I was 17, not even 18 yet. Don't know anymore.
No one needs to know.
And I was paid under the table too, so that was even better. So it's like
troubadour putting you on blast.
That's right.
It was the memories.
And was introduced to a whole lifestyle that I never even knew. It was the things that you would read about in magazines. And you were in it. And
tell us more.
I mean, what happened after 2 a.m. was really the enlightening
in the
part.
club, or is it now you guys have moved on?
No, it was in the club. Yeah, that front bar has history.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it was very eye opening to me. I lived in Thousand Oaks and kind of lived a pretty quiet lifestyle, and here I was thrown into one of the bigger clubs in Hollywood at an age that it was pretty.
It's a little premature,
incredible.
But you're doing all right.
And then while I was there, I ended up going to recording school, same school my brother went to.
Which school is that?
And it was called Sound Masters.
Okay.
And actually right next to what is now Salami, which was Devonshire before.
Oh,
so it was literally right next door.
Wow.
Went from recording school to, I didn't graduate because there was a electronics course that I needed to take, and the teacher and I just didn't connect. And I ended up walking out and told the school that I will graduate when you get a new teacher. I was a little cocky back then. And it progressed.
Take that.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I am not going to graduate.
I've already given you the money, but...
So we...
but how many times have people asked you for your degree, I'm sure?
Yeah, a zero, a big zero. But I ended up... I was at home one day, and I was watching the Flintstones. I remember this like it was yesterday. And I knew I needed to do something, so I called the school, and they gave me a referral to MCA Music, and one shouldn't have because I didn't graduate, and that's what started my career. I walked in. There are a lot of details in and around that, but the person that hired me actually graduated from Thousand Oaks High School, which was my high school. So he did ask, he goes, so where did you grow up? And I said, Thousand Oaks. And he goes, what high school? I told him, and he goes, do you like Westlake High School's football team? And I'm like, no, I graduated Thousand Oaks. And he goes, you got the job. And you think about it, dude, like, wow. And Scott James, who was the person that hired me at MCA, put me in a position that I could learn. And it was the tape duplicating room. It went from the tape duplicating room where I was allowed to hang in the studio anytime that I wasn't working. So after work at 6 o'clock, I would be in the studio from 6 until 2 in the morning every single day.
Wow.
And I just sat on the couch and I watched.
Wow.
And then that turned into a year later. They needed a first engineer. There was no assisting. They threw me in at 19 to engineer. And 4 years after that, I got the itch to do more, and I made some phone calls and ended up getting the chief engineer position at EMI Music.
Wow.
And it was just, doors just opened.
So these are labels,
Correct.
But then they have their own studios. So
Correct.
It's kind of like a little vertical integration.
Correct.
So then are the bands from those labels required to record at the studios,
No.
or they can maybe
they'll come in to do
something?
multiple things. It could be anywhere from pre-production for the new records to be recording vocals or just doing various things. Songwriters, Desmond Child and Holly Knight and Glenn Ballard and Diane Warren. It was just like you would have the top songwriters coming in and working with talent, working with artists. And
wow.
I just happened to be the engineer.
Okay. So they'd be, so you got to sit in almost like a master's class on different sessions, songwriting sessions?
100%. I never knew what I was learning until it got into working with bands on my own. But Glenn Ballard gave me a really good piece of information when I first started out. And I used to house sit for Glenn, and he really took me really under his wing, and was very, very kind, because nobody wanted to work with me because I was so young. The chief engineer, Francis, was 10, 12, 14 years older than I was. So I was the baby. And Glenn was like, you do my sessions and everybody will start working with you. And he said, when you're working with bands and artists, remember that their songs are their babies. And you have to treat those babies very delicately. And as I started in my career, I was like, but what happens if you have an ugly baby? So then I approached it where, well, I have this cute little outfit for your baby. And your baby will end up blossoming into this beautiful
Gap model.
Right. And that's how I approached producing records, where it ended up being, I think the drum part could be better. Try playing this. The guitar part could be better. Let's try something like this. Your vocal melody, let's work on that. And you would slowly watch the baby grow into this, this beautiful collection of songs.
I was wondering where you were going to go with that metaphor. Wow, that's so amazing. So talk to us about some of the early producing that you did.
Well, I think some of the first engineering that I did was a woman named Tina Clark, was and still is a songwriter producer. And she and I got along really well, and she took me out on my first record. So the first thing that we did was a woman named Vesta Williams, and we worked on 3 songs. And and Tina was just starting off as well. And the song that we worked on went #1.
Wow.
And then that led us to work with Congratulations.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a long, long time ago.
What year is it? You don't
80, 87, maybe. Right around there.
I want to hear it. Maybe the editor can insert that song here. Oh, probably not, because digital rights.
And then we went in from that, worked with Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight. And then when I moved over to EMI, it was Megadeth and Cheap Trick and Alice Cooper, and it was a lot of just being in it with the artists. And it was again wild time. Should I have been there? Should I have been doing that at that age?
Well, how old are you then? I mean, I don't know if it's too closing.
Oh my gosh!
Let's give it a range. Early 20s. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, very early 20s.
So you really do have these 2 different lives. Do people at Nickelodeon know that you're a rock star? Has anyone told them?
Well, definitely. I don't know if I would be a rock star. I've worked with rock stars.
You are the wind beneath their wings.
It's. I think that there are some people that know the history. There's some people that are that may not. It's. I don't know. Working at Nick is. I feel like I've started my career all over again. I feel like I'm 19.
In a good way?
In a great way. Oh,
that's exciting.
I mean, everybody from the Justin Brinsfield was the one that brought me in and hired me, and Manny was gracious enough to teach me how to do the job, because doing a record is completely different than doing voiceover.
Interesting. How are they different?
You just don't. All the technical issues, all the pee-pops and the mouth noise and the this and the that. And I mean, my first session was hilarious because I came into it not knowing anything. And I had 3 2-hour training sessions.
Okay.
And I'm like, take number? Why do you need take numbers? What's a line number? It was, in music, you would just go, okay, we're going to go and, start on verse 2. Let's pick up.
Star that.
Right. And so there were a lot of things I didn't understand. Beeping in for ADR. What's a beep? I mean, I literally knew nothing. So my first session was Loud House.
There's a lot of people on that show.
There was a lot of people. So it was the ensemble, which was 8 people. The only thing I ever saw before that was just doing 1 or 2 people. And again, I only had three training sessions.
And you're the solo engineer, or there's somebody? Oh, wow.
Yeah. There was
even just setting up 8 different microphones seems like a lot.
Yeah, Justin on that one popped in after I got going, but Lisa Schaefer was the voice director, and I just remember setting everything up and then trying to slate in, and I had the slate on a little Post-it, and somebody said something in the script, and I turned to Lisa and I said something because I thought that I was doing something wrong. But it was something in the script that they had said. And Lisa was
this guy's a piece of junk.
it was.
We're talking about Lincoln.
Right. And Lisa said, that's in the script. And I was like, okay, now I know. I feel much better about me.
This is different.
Yeah. So it was a big learning curve, but the people there are wonderful. It's seriously my happy place. I found some of my best friends there. When talent comes in, it doesn't feel like they're just talent coming in. Everybody's family. Everyone. You see somebody in the hallway and you have these beautiful conversations, or, hey, how's your day going? And, it's not just it's okay. Somebody they'll open up to you, and that's just the environment. So Nickelodeon is really the happiest place on earth. It's not Disney. Sorry, Disney. You lose.
Do we have the legal rights to use that? Wow. So Nickelodeon, from Metallica to Nickelodeon, you've done it all and everything in between.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about working with Metallica. I mean,
it was with Megadeth. Well, Megadeth was Megadeth.
Countdown to Extinction. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was a wild time because I remember showing up to the studio, and the Cartage people got there early. And I remember
the what?
Cartage people.
What's
so
Cartage people?
Cartage are the people that will bring all the equipment.
Okay.
So
they have carts.
And they have lots of carts. And there was a lot of equipment. I remember getting off the elevator and I started to walk down the hallway, and it was just road case after road case after road case after road case. And I'm like, oh my God. And I walk into the studio, and the drum tech was already setting up Nick Menza's drums. It was a massive kit, and I walk in, and Nick pops up from behind the kit, and he goes, oh, I'm Nick. He's a super nice person. And then David Olafson comes in like 20 minutes later, and we're talking. And then Mustaine shows up, and everybody is just super nice. Not what people may think. Yeah, it was a really good vibe. They were excited to be there. And again, I grew up with a band, and here I am working with them.
Wow.
And we started to work on the songs, and we're recording, and came time to do guitars, and Mustaine said, I want to mic up every speaker on every cabinet. And he had 5 cabinets, Marshall stacks. And he wanted to go through every speaker to find the sound of what they were going to do.
Wow.
And it was, and it ended up getting really intense. It was like he was very, very meticulous.
Wow.
Which was great for me because working on, I'm young, but working at that level with somebody like that.
Wow.
And everybody was very meticulous in what they did. And what ended up happening was after we finished all the songs, my mentor, Max Norman, ended up producing, engineering, and mixing the record. And he told me, he and I are now very, very close, but he told me that I should have done the record because what I did sounds very, very similar to what the record is. Max went through arrangements and, of course, better studio and way more time, but it was still that here's my mentor telling me that I should have done that record.
Wow.
And I could still listen back to it and think, you know what, I actually did a good job for the time that we had. It was impressive.
I mean, it's so crazy how you have mentioned a few times that a door just appeared and you walked through it in some ways. Do you attribute that to luck or timing or?
It's my path.
Interesting. So that's what I was kind of getting at was, do you feel that you've been led on this path? And
100%.
Yeah.
There's no other explanation. For me, my career, looking at it, and the people that I've had the pleasure to work with, everything, it is that is not by luck. Then I must be the luckiest person in the world.
Yeah.
And that goes with even my friends. That it was my path. It's exactly seemed to always be exactly where I need to be, and no matter what happens, good or bad, that is still exactly where I need to be. Because sometimes it's not about you.
Have there been challenges in your career?
Many.
Yeah.
Many. I went through. Been married twice. Worked too much. Health issues. I mean, it's loss of my mom. It's like there has been a lot of challenges, but you overcome those. You really focus on this is what I needed to do. It's all going to work out, and it always does.
Yeah.
No matter the darkest times, doesn't matter.